Yeah, come and take a look at the snow. Bright white as far as your eyesight goes. Come and take a look at the fields of snow. I'll just get my coat, then we're good to go. Come and take a look at the lake. Let's have a quick skate before it gets late. Come and take a look at the frozen lake. Put your clothes on, mate, don't make that mistake. Happy Christmas.
Greetings, holiday shoppers. There are now 43 shopping days left until Christmas and 343 days left until next Diwali. And it is time once again for Christmas Creeps, your one-stop shop for holiday movies and TV shows all year round. My name is Joseph Wade. I will be your host for this evening. Here with me tonight is my co-host, Mr. Bradford.
Osaka Mariah. What a wonderful name. What a wonderful phrase. Osaka Mariah. Ain't no passing craze.
What does that mean, Brad?
It's an untranslated phrase in one of the songs in the movie we watched.
You could have just said it means no worries for the rest of our days, but
yeah,
you didn't.
You teed it up for me, and you treated it like a football. And
you're going to have to take a mulligan.
And slid down the hill from the tee.
Oh, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
All right. Brad, what's going on tonight?
Oh, you know, the huge basking in the turgid afterglow of current events. You know.
Yeah, don't I know it, sir. Jonathan 5, the human robot, could not be with us tonight, but we will hear from him briefly. So in his place, returning from our last episode, is Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick, welcome back.
Did you know that the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial and includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward expansion up to level 60 with no restrictions on playtime? Sign up and enjoy Eorzea today!
Hey, that wasn't in my soundboard.
It sounds like it's like John is really here with us.
It's like he's in the room.
It's like yes.
But no, what I was contractually obligated to say tonight is let's throw to Johnny 5, the human robot, in our election headquarters for some election analysis. J-Man?
Looks like those clowns in Congress did it again. What a bunch of clowns.
Very nice. Thanks, J-Man. All right. So, as promised from our last episode on P2, the 2007 Christmas slasher that takes place in a parking garage, at the end of that episode, if you didn't hear it, we discovered there is a remake of that film, and it came out in 2023, just last year, and it is a Hindi film titled I Love You.
I love you too.
I love you guys. And now we're in the position now of having to deal with the phrase "I love you," the remake of P2, which is like the least SEO engineered phrase you could possibly Google.
It was so hard to find this movie. Not to mention there are like already a million movies called "I Love You" or some variation on "I Love You."
Right.
I could not, for the life of me. I forgot how I eventually. Like, I went to the IMDb page for P2. That wasn't any help. I just searched I Love You on, like, Just Watch. No help, really. It's a miracle I found it. You gave it the link to me eventually.
Yeah, friends. If you would like to watch I Love You and come back to listen to this podcast, it's on Tubi right now. And I do kind of recommend it because it's an interesting experience.
Tubi is so good, man. I got the most wild ad where it was like a bunch of women in a row saying, you know, I'm a professional. The saying what their jobs were, and then them all going, and I'm a mother. I'm a mother. I'm a mother. And then at the very end, one of the women says, when did the "and" become impossible? And then it just cuts to a black screen with white text that says, think about it.
What? Who paid for this?
I don't know. All I could tell is there's a little V in the bottom right corner, and I tried looking it up, but now Google probably thinks I'm mentally ill because just Googling Tubi ad, when did "and" become impossible V, and it just nothing popped up. I couldn't figure out who or what it was for, other than the general concept of motherhood.
Strange.
It's like one of those oblique trigger phrases that they're looking for, like serial killers on the internet.
Yeah, it's definitely someone's MK Ultra activation phrase.
Absolutely, yeah. So be careful. Careful, Dr. Nick. You may have opened a can of worms you did not want to open.
That's the last thing we need right now.
Oh boy. So yeah, the fact that this movie is titled I Love You, while it is completely germane to the movie at hand, also makes it, like Brad said, kind of impossible to find. And we'll put, the banner image in our podcast show notes and stuff, so you'll be able to identify it. It's basically just a bathed in purple, and like that's the thing that I keep coming back to, is like this movie was just bathed in purple. And there's a very good reason for that too, because this is a holiday film. We're not talking about it for no reason tonight. Bradford, would you like to explain?
It takes place on the eve of Diwali.
Yep.
And if you're not familiar with Diwali, it is a South Asian. I guess I can say, I don't want to talk out of turn. We really should have gotten somebody more versed in this on the show, but that's how we do, is we fly by the seat of our pants here. It's a southeastern or a South Asian celebration, celebrating the triumph of good over evil, light over darkness. I'm not going to stick my foot in my mouth and say any more than that, because otherwise I'd literally just be going to Wikipedia and reading verbatim from it.
True.
So go check out your local library if you want to learn more about Diwali. But it's a big deal there. And in the the diaspora at large. A very, very big holiday. So, just like most major holidays in any given culture, it's a time of, to be with your family, to get together, to catch up, just as you would at, for example, Christmas or Lunar New Year. So,
right, yeah,
yeah.
And like I know. So first of all, I guess we need to couch this entire episode by saying that yes, we realize we are three American white dudes talking about a holiday that we do not celebrate. So we're going to be stepping around this, very carefully. And
quite a bit.
We understand.
Yes.
We understand our place here.
Yes.
We're coming at this from the perspective of, oh shit, this is a remake of a film we literally just watched.
And it takes place on a major holiday.
And
so just as the other film did. So,
and also I will say I know very little to nothing about Indian and South Asian culture, so I'm not going to try to make any sort of judgments or any sort of I think there could be context here, but I am completely unaware of if the context for certain things exists. So
yeah, we're not going to make any broad stroke generalizations here. If you came to listen to that, that's a weird thing to do, but it's not going to be happening. We're going to be talking about the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
What was I was going to say something. Oh, we did miss it. Unfortunately, I think it was on the 2nd this year, 2nd of November.
Diwali. I believe it was actually on Halloween.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, hold on.
So we really missed it.
Oh yeah, no, I was thinking of Dia de los Muertos. You're right. It was it was day and date with Halloween this year. Right. But we missed that, but we did actually I don't know if you all watched it yesterday. I know Joe and I did. Did you watch it yesterday, Dr. Nick?
I watched it on Sunday.
Oh, okay. So you were one day early for the other sort of semi-holiday that this movie makes at least one oblique reference to.
Yep, Singles Day.
Yeah. So there's a scene where one of the characters, there's a shot of a clock and time is passing, and the main character ends up waking up on 11:11.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of links back into the main plot. We'll get to it. Anyways, so
Right. It's
happy Singles Day to all of you who celebrate. to all of you, even the losers and haters.
Did you guys catch the third and final holiday featured in this movie? Very briefly.
Oh man,
oh my gosh,
I don't think I did.
You guys are very bad at your jobs because there is a very brief Secret Santa scene.
Oh yes, that's
right.
So
I was too busy being horrified by all of the implications of what was going on in that scene.
So this is a
right.
Christmas
Secret
movie.
Santa plays a very key role in the setup of this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So yeah, like we said, we're not talking about this for no reason, but it being a holiday film, I feel like it's just barely coming into our purview as something we're allowed to talk about, and we're going to take that opportunity tonight because really, what other Christmas podcast will do this? I don't know. Probably just us. So just to recap, P2 is a film about
the sequel to P.
The sequel to P.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bradford. P2 is about a young woman in what? Brad,
sorry. I got to stop you one more time. I did have a shower thought tonight.
Okay.
P2 Judgment Day. That's a cipher joke for all of you cipher heads out there. It doesn't even work, but for some reason, my dumb brainworms, just that lodged itself in my skull. Anyways, sorry. Continue.
They might as well have just called this film P22. It happened again. But the original P2 is about a young woman who works in an office building. It's a Christmas Eve, and she's locked in the building with a deranged security guard who happens to have a less than healthy crush on her and decides to terrorize her until she either submits or kills him, and guess which one happens. I Love You is very much a remake of that film. It's considered an unofficial remake because I guess they don't credit Alexander Aja and the other writers for this, but come on, it's P2.
There are even the major difference is it takes place on Diwali and in an office building, where P2 was a Christmas movie in a parking garage. And this movie even does have a brief foray into the parking garage.
Right.
But
there are certain like gags and moments that are lifted directly from P2.
Oh, we'll get
into that. So it's kind of hard to say they just borrow the premise because they're directly remaking this movie.
There are certain plot beats that are exactly from P2, but just show up in this movie in a different context.
Right. And honestly, that to me was the most entertaining part of watching this, because having watched that and then being able to see this and see where they pick and choose from, and then kind of remix it into something different, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
like I know that's not everyone's experience watching either of these movies, but I guess for our purposes, I think that's the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like assigning homework, but fine. So where should we start with I Love You?
I feel like we're missing something important before we get to the movie chat.
I love you too, Joseph.
I love you too, Brad. I'll say it again.
Oh.
But yes, Nick, you are correct, sir, because I've been forestalling it because I just didn't want to open it, but let's do it.
My friend, I'm already like a third of the way through this. You haven't opened yours yet. Get on my level.
Sorry, dog.
No, it's fine. It's probably
I waited
better.
too long. It's starting to bubble over. Oh my god.
Man
All
down,
right.
man
All
down.
right. Well, can check, everybody.
All right. Who wants to go first?
Esteemed guest, Dr. Nick. What about you?
All right. I am drinking a Canada Dry Fruit Splash Cherry Ginger Ale. I love ginger ale, and I like gimmicky drinks, and this one seems to be, especially for the holiday, if the case that it came in is anything to go by. It has Christmas ornaments on it and stuff. And it tastes like Canada Dry with maybe just like a little whisper of cherry, like a LaCroix-ass amount of cherry in it.
Okay.
Okay.
It's nice and crisp and refreshing, but I prefer other ginger beers over this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still drink it.
Can I say I prefer the cranberry ginger ale over regular ginger ale, and the fact that it's now an annual item instead of a seasonal kind of bums me out.
Oh, is it available year round now?
Yeah, because now it's just not special anymore.
Mm.
There's my hot take for the night.
Just like if you were to watch Christmas movies all year round, right?
What kind of
See,
maniac
good
would do
thing
that?
nobody's dumb enough to do that.
Yeah, what kind of a psycho would possibly ruin such a thing as a Christmas movie? No. Okay, fine. Nick's got the fancy ginger ale. Bradford, what about you?
I have the first GBS of the year, and no, I'm not talking about one of the main subforums of the Something Awful forums. I'm talking about a Hardywood, the original gingerbread stout, an imperial milk stout with cinnamon, vanilla, ginger, and honey, something of an annual tradition over the last couple of years. It's really good. It's like the most Christmassy ass Christmas beer possible. Even the can says it's a perfect Christmas beer. Says Beer Connoisseur, which I assume is a magazine and not a man's name.
Well, they would know.
They would know. Mr. Connoisseur would know. It's pretty good. It's very high gravity too. So it's
what's the percentage on that bad boy?
9.2 ABV.
Woo! Someone's having fun tonight.
It's got a little kick. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. How about you, our esteemed host with the most?
Well, I did put a picture of it in the Discord just for your viewing pleasure.
Hail Santa.
Harvey's Christmas Ale, an ale product of the United Kingdom with a very horrifying looking Santa Claus on the label.
He looks like the Santa from Rare Imports, like that what's his face sees in the book when he's like flipping through and all the the pictures of the children being tortured.
Yeah, no kidding.
The Santa's eyes are completely blacked out. It's like a bas relief of Santa. It's not a good time.
It's horrifying, but the beer is very much a what's the word for it? It's
like a British brown ale.
Absolutely, it's a British brown ale. It says it is a traditional barley wine. The biscuit malt and Venus fruit palate is balanced by a strong hop bitterness. It is very much a British Christmas beer, friends.
What is a Venus? What was that? Venus fruit palate?
I'll say that I do not know how to pronounce this word. It's Vinous. Venus. There should be an E in that word, sirs.
I would think. Vinous? I don't know.
We have already lost the plot on this. The point is, I got fancy and went to World Market and bought fancy beer for this.
Oh, Venus as in wine.
There you go. Yes.
Because that's where I was going. Because it's a traditional barley wine, but no, this is definitely a beer. Not bad, very Christmassy, but we have bigger fish to fry tonight because we got to talk about "I Love You" a little bit.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do. So, "I Love You" is very similar to P2. We'll say that up front. We've said that already, but it's now about a young woman named Satya who works at an office building on the eve of Diwali, and she has a very playful relationship with her IT guy named Rakesh, and right there is your primary difference between this and P2, because in P2, no, the guy is creepy, like straight up from Front Street, but this one it gives you a good 30 minutes or so to really get to know this guy before he goes crazy.
Yeah, his nickname is RO because he says his given name, he doesn't like it because it makes him sound like a appliance salesman of some sort. I think it's a water heater salesman.
Oh. They also had mentioned this name is like kind of old school or stodgy or old sounding.
That was part of the reason why he fell for her, is because she told him that he has an old fashioned name and she likes the old fashioned name.
Yes.
But yeah, and this one, Satya is also engaged the night before the eve of Diwali. She got engaged to her boyfriend Vishnal, and
Yes.
I think it's Vishal.
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 Thank you. And the basic premise is that since it is the eve of Diwali, everybody has a red-eye flight at 2 a.m. to fly home from Mumbai to Delhi in order to, specifically in Satya and Vishal's case, to go celebrate Diwali with Satya's family. And Rakesh just so happens to have tickets for the same flight as well. Sorry, RO.
Or does he?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was so sure that was going to be a plot point, and it wasn't. But
I mean,
you know,
he gets a text from the airline that he has. I think he actually does have the tickets. I just think the night does not go how he thinks it's going to go.
Yeah, I think he planned it in advance, but during that day, during Diwali Eve, is when he formulates this plan of his.
Right.
Because of a specific conversation he has.
Yes.
Yeah.
right. This comes together very quickly. But also the next sort of big deviation from P2 is that Satya, her excuse of, I have a boyfriend is manifest because, well, there he is right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of the first obstacle for Rakesh to get over is like, well, what to do about the boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Who RO is familiar with. He's something of a friend or at least a confidant to this man.
Yes, both Satya and Vishal treat RO as a friend and confidant and someone who they ask to like do favors for them. He's in that kind of relationship where they can ask him, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And
right.
specifically with RO, he has a conversation with Vishal where Vishal says Vishal forgot to buy a plane ticket for this 2 a.m. flight, and RO is like, oh, I know what you do. What you should do is you should get her lilies. She likes lilies, and if you explain what happened, that you just got caught up with the proposal and it just slipped your mind to buy the plane ticket, she'll be understanding. And Vishal goes, you're such a good guy, RO. If I weren't there, you would be the only one who could make her happy. And that's when the light bulb goes off in RO's head.
Right. And even before this, they're just digging the knife in on this guy because like once Vishal proposes to Satya, she then like, the next day realizes like, well, I need to get him a ring too, and she asks RO to go and help her find a ring for her fiance.
Yeah, it's even earlier than that because at the proposal, you can see RO just kind of sulking away once the proposal happens.
Oh yeah,
yeah, dude is
so.
And then when he gets to his like desk at work, he has a coffee mug that says like "Forever Single."
I didn't notice.
Yeah, it's a pretty good close up of just that coffee mug.
Yeah, this movie is I've said this on the Discord. This movie is just unsubtle enough that I honestly kind of appreciate it.
Yes,
they really lean in on like the whole incel angle with RO,
right.
Much more so than because this P2 was. Correct me if I'm wrong, was 2009?
2007.
Right? 2007. Yeah, so we talked about this a bit on the last one, where it was, the whole incel, MT gal, whatever shit, manosphere stuff was just bubbling under, but now it's full frontal, and maybe the movie realizes that it needs to be a little more upfront about that sort of thing, otherwise the message might get lost.
I think it's
right. Try to get out ahead of it and like defang that character early, I guess.
Yeah.
And also this movie does play in some more melodrama than P2 did, where P2 is a pretty like straightforward movie that wasn't dealing in like heightened emotions other than fear, except for the brief Elvis scenes. P2
right.
has a lot more like over the top romantic moments and multiple like musical numbers. It's playing on a different emotional register than P2 is, and I think the unsubtlety of RO's unrequited feelings is a major part, like plays into that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, once we go, there's a section, 30 minutes into the film, after we realize kind of what's going on, it goes into his perspective.
It's right after he chloroforms Satya, because I guess we should back up and kind of explain what happens up to the point where he chloroforms her, where Satya's, trying to, get ready for her flight to go to Delhi. And she's working late at the office, and eventually, while she's there, she passes out and falls asleep. And after she wakes up, she can't call or text her fiance or anybody else. And when she tries to leave the office complex, her little access badge does not work to get out of the parking garage.
Right. So in this case, there's actually a whole plan being enacted, and not just the wrong girl in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she eventually meets. Well, RO eventually comes to see her while she's still at the office, and she lets him in, and he tries to he pretends to offer to help her, and eventually he does chloroform her and tells her that he loves her and that he's doing this all because of how much he cares for her. Again, very similar to some of Thomas's motivations in P2.
Yes. Yeah. Then it's at that point where the film flashes back, and we get the entire, I guess, build up to this from his perspective, and it suddenly becomes like he sees himself as the Jim in an office sitcom situation.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
Oh yeah.
Where he's pining after Satya, he's watching her in the office. He's literally sitting in his apartment wearing a t-shirt that just says protagonist.
He also has another shirt that says hero.
Yes. And he's looking at her photos on this film's version of Facebook, which is very unsubtly called Friend Zone.
Again, that was one of the things I mentioned earlier, where I do not know if this culture has an understanding of what the specific context of friend zone that exists in America, but either way, it's really funny that it's called Friend Zone.
I don't know. I feel like that's very specific. That's a joke.
I think there's enough bleed over that's well known, because you can see it in this film. They kind of switch between Hindi and saying phrases in English, which to my understanding, again, I said we're not going to do generalizations, but is quite common, at least in a younger set. So I don't think the phrase friend zone would necessarily be lost on the audience, and certainly not by the part of the writers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's absolutely on purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah. We
see him showing how much he cares for her, and the first time they meet is they get they're in an elevator together at work, and it's RO's first day on the job. Satya gets in the elevator with him, and the elevator, does the elevator stop? And
it shuts down for a second for some reason, just for dramatic effect, I suppose.
Yeah, and there's the bisexual lighting, and confetti goes off as Ara realizes he's absolutely in love with Satya, and he just goes overboard, learning everything he can about her, following her on Friend Zone, and learning about her family. And he goes digging into her past to find the one specific toy she liked as a kid. And as part of the office Secret Santa gift exchange, like we alluded to earlier, he gives her his own version of this stuffed sheep toy she had as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go any further, what's bisexual lighting?
Oh, you don't know about this? It's basically the concept that bisexual. Like, it's basically any movie that has like heavy blue and purple lighting, like the colors on the bisexual flag. It's been a thing for a few minutes. Like John Wick has some bisexual lighting. Atomic Blonde. There's just other examples.
Okay. I just didn't know that was the phrase for it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
cool.
see, all of that lighting, I took it to be kind of a subtle nod to Diwali and all of the the bright colors that are used in the festivals and things like that.
That's probably it. That's probably it more than bisexuality, because of Aro and Satya and Vishal are all extremely straight.
Absolutely, yes. But this is where it becomes like his love of his affection for her becomes like insidious and like way over the line, because the stuffed animal that he gives her has a hidden camera in it.
Oh.
And she puts it in her living room, and then we see him in his bedroom watching a projected image on his wall of just everything going on in her house.
And
oh my God, it is, I don't know, something about that seems so much more over the line than a lot of things that go on in P2.
Yeah. Well, and then it's later shown that he goes over to visit her house because, one, the batteries on the camera and the sheep toy are low. And then also he wants to check her computer and make sure that she's got antivirus software and stuff, because there could be people stalking her, and he wants to make sure that she's safe. And he installs his own spyware in the computer in order for him to view through her camera in the bedroom at any given time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than any other scene. I think this one gave me. Ugh.
I think this montage is probably the best part of the movie, because it really just plays with, like I said, the melodramatic heightened emotions that this movie has. And as Joe said, it is unsubtle about how this guy, Aro, views himself as the hero of the story when he's actually being a huge monster.
He literally calls himself Batman.
He calls, yeah.
I wrote this down. I will become your Batman. Why do you think Batman roams the nights all alone? He's probably out there looking for his Satya. God.
The cringiest man to ever cringe.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I want to say that's that line is written 100% on purpose. They know like these guys like this are way too into Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think it's all intentional.
Yeah.
I don't think any of this is unintentional at all.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, like, obviously maybe you don't know like a literal stalker, but you know this kind of person, right?
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
It's again, it's like the nice guy, right? Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that, because that's part of his motivation later for doing some of the stuff that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow.
Right. I guess we need to get into that because we snap back into reality, and then guess what? He shows her what happened to Vishal.
Yeah, well, Satya wakes up, tied up, gagged, in a locked server cabinet in Aro's office. And
which I have to say is, I hate saying it's great because I've just never seen that in a film, but like that's great.
It's a very cool office. We have to give it that.
He's trying out to be the next Bond villain with that office. It's just completely empty.
No shit.
Well, like the scene where he first walks into the office, and as he walks under all these arches, all the lights turn on automatically as he walks under them.
Which makes me wonder, what the hell does this company do?
I had the same thought, and it's never really expanded upon.
Yeah, they never really explore that idea.
I found a couple. We'll talk about this when we get into like our judgments and stuff. But like I found a few reviews that like contemporary, like Indian movie reviews, and a lot of them have the same question: what the hell kind of an office is this?
It's very right. Like it's
yeah.
coded as tech, but it's like never really clear what exactly is what they're doing, because it's got all like the cushy amenities. It's got a whole pantry. It's got a pool top or a rooftop pool and gym.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The logo's very techy, but yeah, it doesn't really expand upon that beyond that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day, but it's still just like, they clearly just wanted to have a very high tech looking office building for this setting.
It looks cool.
More power to them, but still,
it works. I think in what the film is going for, because there's a lot of these empty spaces that are a little bit unsettling.
They're too clean.
Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been in an office in the middle of the night when nobody's there. Like, regardless of whether it's high tech or not, it's like, especially if you're ever a kid in an office when it was empty in the middle of the night, it's a little bit creepy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Get a little creepy.
I think after Satya wakes up, and Aro confesses his love for her and has some fun taking a selfie with her. I think that's when he takes her down to the parking garage and is driving her in his car through the garage. Well, no, he borrowed it from a friend, I think he says. He's driving her through the garage, and his key card works on the parking garage gate, but hers didn't. He shut it all down so that only he can get into and out of the parking garage. And very similar to P2, he takes her down like a level or so in the parking garage and takes her to her car, where he reveals that he murdered her driver.
Mishra-ji.
Yes, Mishra-ji.
Mishra-ji.
Yes, and
poor guy.
Yeah.
The movie starts with kind of a Christmas Carol sort of scene, because like her driver Mishra-ji is asking her very politely and very meekly if he can have off the next day for Diwali, and she's a little reluctant to do that. Mm-hmm. So the movie's trying to paint her as a little bit of a Scrooge character, but it doesn't really go that far.
No, yeah.
But yeah, he's stuffed into the back of that truck, and I'm pretty sure the car that he quote unquote borrowed is just that guy's car.
Yeah.
But then it is revealed that he has also incapacitated Vishal and has put him into like a saw-like death
trap. I was about to say a saw trap. He takes Satya up to the gym of this incredible tech upstart office complex, and Vishal is tied to a gym bench, and he has a barbell with some weights resting in a resting position, and his hands are tied to the barbell. Yeah. And as he interrogates Vishal and Satya and tells Satya that, says things like, "Did you know why do you think he goes to the gym? He's liking other women's pictures. He's cheating on you." He makes Vishal prove his love to Satya by benching increasingly increasing amounts of weight.
Do you even lift, bro?
Yeah. I mean, credit to Vishal. He's benching more than I ever could.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of jacked, so good for him. But yeah, this goes very poorly for him.
But yeah, Satya watches on in horror. She eventually admits that she thinks it's going to stop the torture if she says it. So she tells Aro that she knows he loves her and she's known for a while. At which point Aro just drops weights onto Vishal, killing him instantly, basically.
Right, and then to make sure, he just smashes him in the face with one of those weights.
Yeah, as she flees.
It's kind of similar to the scene in P2 where he takes her down in the parking garage to ram the guy with his car.
Yeah,
but I think it's almost a direct inspiration of that
analog
again. Yeah,
but then
that's one of the.
It's also the moment where sort of things get real,
and things get a little too real. Yeah,
and
she escapes, and she's trying to get her phone that's like locked in a drawer, And
Up.
out of
Here we
nowhere,
go.
I do not know what. Okay, sorry.
I thought it was her boss's phone that was in the drawer.
Yeah, it
It
was.
was her boss's phone.
It was her boss's
Okay.
phone because
Because
her phone was her phone
she-
missing by that point.
No, she still had her phone, but I think she realized since RO is sort of like a tech savant,
Mm-hmm.
so she thinks that her phone is compromised, and she's right, which we'll see later in the movie.
Right.
So
But then-
she's thinking she needs to track down her boss's phone so that she can use that to, call the police or what have you.
Anyway, the point being, of all the things to take from P2 and put in this movie,
I yelled about it last night in the Discord. I
Yep,
couldn't believe it.
Yep.
Ugh.
just like in P2, when she tries to reach for her phone and she like destroys one of her fingernails on the concrete, she jams and destroys one of her fingernails trying to reach this phone.
It's so bad. I don't know. I guess people know that causes a visceral reaction in people. Like
Yeah,
I can
and
take
it's-
I can take a decent amount of gore. Like I won't enjoy it. I can take a decent amount of gore, but man, fingernail stuff. I don't know. I don't know why.
Everybody's messed up a fingernail at some point in their life, and they know how painful that is.
Ugh.
Can I just say?
Anyways.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
If I hadn't gone to see Mobile Suit Gundam 3 Encounters in Space in theaters a couple weeks ago, I would have had a 3-movie unbroken streak of fingernail carnage because we watched P2, and then over the weekend, my girlfriend and I watched The Substance.
Oh my god.
The Substance has fingernail stuff in
Yep,
it?
The Substance has fingernails
Oh,
and
yeah.
teeth. And needles and surgery stitches. The Substance is a gnarly movie. I really liked it, but it is a nasty piece of work.
I think
So-
we called the Substance on our Discord channel 100% sicko certified.
It is
and-
100%. It is
Yes.
a sicko movie.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, just getting so much fingernail carnage in this movie. And well, not in this movie, but in general. But yeah, it just is like her reaching for a phone in a drawer, and she just fucks up her fingernail so bad.
Right. So the point being, don't tell me this isn't a remake of P2, because that right there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Come on, man.
and there's also even a scene where RO is just like dancing along to an Hindi song, and it's very similar to the Elvis bits from P2.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I love that. I love that they're taking the fun little interstitial bits from that movie and just peppering them in here, weaving them in and finding ways to like make them feel natural.
And he's killing it. He's got a hammer and a blood splattered shirt, and he's fucking slaying it out in that lobby.
Yeah, because
Yeah, and I hate to say it at this point, but RO is kind of the best character in this movie.
oh yeah,
I hate to say that.
That montage
Yeah.
settles it. That montage of him as the hero and protagonist just solidifies it as like, oh, he's the reason to watch this movie.
Right.
When does he go down to the lobby to kill the guards? Because yeah, just like P2, there is a guard in the building that RO kills so he can, get away with
I
this
don't
murder.
remember where it fits in on the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's implied to still be when Satya is asleep. By the way, it's because of the candy, right?
Yes,
It's
yes.
implied that the candy that he's giving her has like not just the one that he's giving her. He's like microdosing her.
yeah,
It's like a weird, messed up version of Control, right? Because he's like, you just need to eat another candy. Come on, eat another candy. Like,
well, there's the point
But-
where she refuses to eat a candy, and then he does something, else with her. But then she realizes that's why she overslept, because she was supposed to wake up earlier than 11 p.m.
right? There's the one that causes her to sleep. and
Yeah.
that's very clearly implied.
Yeah.
But there's also like he wants her to eat another one right before he chloroforms her.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And
I see-
I'm just wondering if it's like the other ones are also sort of this weird, messed up power dynamic where he's doing, plying her with something.
I think
Right.
what it read to me as was like anytime she seemed in distress or upset about something, he would offer her a candy so that later, when he might have been dosing him then too, but then so later on she's more conditioned to accept those things from him.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying, like, I wouldn't put
Yeah.
it past this character that if he puts like a small amount of some sort of relaxant or opiate in it, so that she associates good feelings with him providing candy to her. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of got that implication because you never
Mhm.
see him taking any of it.
No.
And he's got a big jar of them at his desk, and
they're
they say "love bites,"
Love
I
bites,
believe, on
yeah,
it.
BYTES.
Love
Yeah.
bites. it's the IT guys candy hearts. Gross.
I just realized
Anyways.
the question we had earlier, it had to have happened before he showed her all the cameras, because he shows her the cameras near the very end of the movie, right before the final confrontation,
Right.
when they're back in the office. But we don't have to get there yet. Because what does she do after running away from him at the gym after he kills Vishal?
I mean, she flees. She's trying to get a hold of that phone,
Mhm.
and then at some point
yes.
he just catches up with her.
He
right?
He catches her under a desk, and then they go to the original proposal spot, and then he threatens her with the hammer.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's hiding. Yeah, she's hiding from him in the proposal spot at the table, and he sneaks up behind her and is threatening her, and then he's like, "Let's sing some karaoke together."
Yeah,
Sure, why not?
And so so they sing karaoke, and while he is just going for it, in the mood, she takes some the Diwali firecrackers that were introduced way at the beginning of the movie that he wanted to, that RO wanted to give her. She takes those firecrackers, lights one, and puts it in his pocket while he's singing.
and then maims his foot with a hammer in order to
The firecracker explodes and she hits his foot with a hammer. And then what happened, Bradford?
And then I got as soon as the firecracker exploded and RO like recoiled onto the floor, I got a very cheerful ad from Monopoly Go.
Tubi stays winning.
Squeebo. Then what happens? Let's see.
I think
she flees again to the pool.
Yeah, that's when she goes to the
Right.
pool, because the opening scene of the movie is Satya underwater, like holding her breath for an extended period of time, and she pops up above the water and looks at her watch to see, she's made a record time for how long she can stay underwater with her breath held. So this scene at the purple pool, because this scene is so much purple lighting. She goes into the pool and just hides underwater, holds her breath, while RO is just circling around the pool trying to find her, and he eventually can't find her. So Satya pops up, and she broke her new record by like a full minute.
and in the process also discovers that he killed Anthony, the old guy that lives in the office, which again is a direct
lives
pull.
in the office. I mean, I guess that's true.
Well-
He spends way too much time there because he doesn't have a family, they say.
Yeah.
I don't personally see him when he's off screen. I don't know where he lives.
But
True.
also he is the aforementioned boss that Satya was getting his phone.
Okay.
But yes,
okay.
after this pool encounter, Satya's on the run again, and I think this is when RO whips out his phone and starts tracking her phone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
a note, and this is where when she realizes she's broken her PB is when the movie takes kind of a turn and she takes matters into her own hands and realizes she's gonna have to kill RO.
Mm-hmm.
Because she switches into a different outfit and she gets her trainers out of a locker and gets a fire axe.
Oh yeah, she gets the world's tiniest axe.
The world's tiniest hatchet.
The little brother of the P2 axe, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And goes.
Oh my god, yeah, that's
confront.
another thing from P2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, we get a final confrontation, I guess, which I have to note in the computer room, and it looks just like the scene from Skyfall where he's fighting the guy in the computer room.
You know,
and I want to say it's
I had
Beijing.
forgotten you mentioned Skyfall when talking about this movie when I made my joke earlier about him trying out for a Bond villain lair.
I mean, there it is, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I think, yeah, she just goes right there to confront Aro, where Aro confesses to what all he's done for her and shows her like all of the things he did, like all the computer monitors for her, like all the cameras he has in her house, and admits that he never watched her naked, and when she and Vishal were in the mood, he would look away from the screen because he was just, such a noble guy.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No.
No. But this is also the point in the film where all of my notes I now realize are in all caps because everything that happens is the most dramatic thing that's ever happened.
Oh, we didn't mention Anjali.
Oh,
we're about to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get into Anjali
because he's got a pet goldfish named Anjali. And remember in P2 where Thomas's dog meets a very grisly fate.
Oh my god!
You better
yes.
believe that almost happens here.
No animals were harmed in the making of this film, though.
They were very clear about that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes. She grabs his goldfish out of the bowl in order to distract him. She flings it across the room.
Which he specifically notes that she can. This happens because while they get into an initial fight where they're just trying to hit each other and they're both not really landing blows, and Aro tells Satya, we can just pretend Vishal was an ex. I used to have an ex named Anjali. That's what I named my goldfish after. And that's what gives Satya the idea to throw the goldfish across the room.
Yeah.
And then, they get into, while he's trying to go get save the goldfish, that's when they get into further fights.
It's maybe the most impressive thing that happens during this movie. Have you ever tried to pick a goldfish?
No.
Up?
No.
A live goldfish?
Oh, God.
Regardless of whether or not it's in a bowl. Like with a whole bowl it can swim around?
Mm-hmm.
Forget about
it. Yeah.
Even in a little net, when you're trying to clean out that tank.
Alternatively, have you ever tried to pick a goldfish up off the floor? It's wicked easy.
I mean, it's easier than trying to grab it out of a bowl.
What's it gonna do? Swim away?
Yeah. And Anjali is not, I mean, there's some not so subtle symbolism when she's in the server, the glass panel.
Oh my
server
god, yeah. I didn't catch
closet.
that. Yeah.
And
Good
then
call.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely. And then it's implied too that Anjali, Aro's ex, was dumped because she wasn't.
I think it's worse. I feel like it's implied that he killed her because he said she forgot her place.
Exactly.
As they're fighting after Satya throws the fish.
Right, but it's this whole thing of like implied that Aro has to be in control in the relationship, even if it's a consensual relationship at the start.
Yeah,
we don't know that about Anjali, but
yeah,
right.
But
it's
it's a captive creature, so to speak.
Oh,
yes.
And Brad, the thing you were mentioning about being stuck in like the server rack with the glass door and the Anjali and the fishbowl, and the glass kind of being a symbol for oppression. What's the final blow that Satya deals to Aro, ending this fight? While he's slumped against a server, she just opens the server door and just slams it into his head.
Into his fucking head.
Oh.
Although I should mention that's not the last thing she does to him.
No, that's the last blow in that fight.
Yes, in that fight, that's true.
Then he wakes up with his mouth gagged, and he's locked back inside the server rack that Satya was locked in earlier.
The same one. And then, so to cap it all off, she's just planning on leaving him. She's like, you can just rot there until the cops find you or don't
she's
find
like,
you. I don't care.
I want to kill
I'm
you.
not gonna.
I want to kill
You're
you.
not even worth it. Yeah.
I don't want to. I want to kill you with my bare hands, but that would make me no better than you.
Yes.
Yes.
But then this little creepazoid gives out his parent or her parents' home address and implicitly threatens them.
And also, is this? No, it happens during the next thing where he writes something on the door.
He writes with his nose in blood, "I heart you."
Yeah, and so
and she that's too much for her, and she sticks a live wire into the server cage, and then sets the fire alarm off and the sprinklers off,
just like in P2, setting off the sprinklers.
Yeah,
it's like a reverse Mad Max ending because she's gonna flood him to death and electrocute him.
Just like, well, kind of like P2 when Thomas starts flooding the elevator.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. When this movie opens with her timing herself in the pool, I really thought that was going to be a setup for like her being stuck in a flooded elevator.
Oh yeah,
I was hoping that would happen.
I thought the exact same thing, Joe.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to come up later. Though,
I mean, that's that, and like the firecrackers, the fireworks definitely are Chekhov's guns, and you're just like, okay, when are these going to show back up?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then they tease the firecrackers because at one point RO says he's just going to blow up Vishal with the firecracker.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen, thank God. But still, I mean, and that's the end of I Love You, and as she walks away, she
takes
leaves
Anjali with her.
With Anjali in the goldfish bowl. Like,
and it's a good little scene. She's got a glass shard sticking out of her side.
Yeah.
And she's got Anjali and grabs the key card and like leaves through the parking deck into the morning light. Not on, just very similar to P2.
While a pop song plays.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering where the music would come into this movie, because it says like over the opening credits, like, oh, these are these are who sings the songs in this movie. I'm like, okay, how are we gonna get songs in this romantic thriller? Is it gonna be like an actual straight up musical? No, there's just a lot of like incidental music, like RO listening to the radio while starting his work day, or the karaoke song they sing together, and another scene, like I said, like we mentioned earlier, where they're in the lobby of the corporate office, and RO is just dancing around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I tried to look up one or two of those songs because I was thinking in the back of my head, like, P2 uses Christmas music, and I'm wondering if any of these songs are like holiday specific. And the best I could figure was that no, they're not, but also the one that he dances around in the lobby to is from a film called 1942, A Love Story. So, I mean, they're making some pretty good pulls here as well.
Yeah.
It's very very intentional what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we've talked out the entire plot of I Love You. So now
I love you too, Joe.
I love you too, Bradford. Let's go to the crankometer and rate I Love You, which is not something I ever expected to have to do. But here we are, friends. The crankometer is our patented XY axis for rating Christmas movies, even though this isn't a Christmas film of any kind.
Objection. This has enough Christmas that we can count it as a Christmas movie.
Objection. I see somebody's been... Welcome to video game chat, everybody.
Oh, no.
Dr. Nick is playing through... Oh, I'm so jealous. He's playing through Phoenix Wright, the original trilogy, Ace Attorney, for the first time.
Yes, I'm on the 5th case of the original game. I did not expect to like this game as much as I do. It is incredible stuff. It's a great mix of high camp and courtroom drama, and it's alternately very it pulls you in with just how, like, it pulls you in with the big twist. Or just like, oh my god, how am I going to solve this case? How am I going to present contradictory evidence? And then also you're talking to people with names like Miss April May or Lotta Hart, and you're just dealing with the goofiest nonsense possible. I posted about it in our the Christmas Creeps Discord's video game channel. about my favorite moment of the game so far, which I don't want to say for spoilers. But if you are curious, this does apply because there is an entire case based around Christmas. And part of the reason I wanted to play this game is because of the meme that is Phoenix Wright saying almost Christmas means it wasn't Christmas. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. But yeah, also video games aren't political. There's nothing to be gleaned from this game about prosecutors falsifying evidence and faking witness testimonies and just doing whatever they can to get a guilty verdict from a country that, from what I understand, has an absurdly high guilty verdict statistics.
Spoiler alert, Joe. He's being
I actually
sarcastic.
didn't know that.
He's being super sarcastic. It's absolutely a send-up and a mild, lighthearted critique of a lot of the problematic issues of the Japanese justice system.
No,
anyways.
I kind of understood that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Jeez.
also all trials can last a maximum of 3 days.
3 days.
And if you go, like, it sucks to suck if your case takes longer than 3 days, because it has to be done in 3 days, because there are just so dang many cases.
Wow.
Yeah, it's. Have you played any of them, Joe?
I have not. No,
Oh,
I can't say that I have.
It's so much fun. If the idea of like a visual novel adventure game where, again, you are just like a lawyer solving ridiculously high stakes murder cases with the goofiest through the goofiest methods, it's for you. Like, the entire third case in the first game is about a murder on the set of a children's TV show called The Steel Samurai, where an actor dressed as the Steel Samurai murders an actor dressed as the Steel Samurai's villain, rival,
Nemesis.
the evil magistrate.
Yeah.
And you have to solve the murder of who killed the actor who played the evil magistrate and why. Like, you're a defense attorney, so you're defending the guy who's being accused of it, but you also have to get to the bottom of the case, and you have to deal with an old security guard who talks exactly like an old lady and will just start rambling so fast that it moves too fast for you to read, and it forces the text prompts to continue, and you don't advance them. And you also deal with like a snotty 7-year-old kid who will give you crucial information only if you give him an ultra premium rare trading card from the show.
Yeah. Does the re-release that you're playing have the story mode option where you can just kind of have it automatically go through everything?
It does not. And
okay.
But I will say the one thing that really makes it easy is that it allows you to just save whenever. I don't know if that was a feature of the original game, but it really makes some of these later cases bearable, because the first day of the trial in the 5th case is at least an hour long, and there's just so much going on, and honestly this case is kind of the weakest one so far, because there's just some stuff where it's like, oh, you have to take a leap of logic that you don't know. This is based on information you do not have, and you would not really have any reason to guess.
Yeah. No, I was wondering, because the newer ones, especially the Great Ace Attorney, hallowed be its name, has an option called story mode, where basically if you don't want to interact with like the going around finding clues and interviewing people, you can basically set it to auto play through all of that.
Gotcha.
And if I know Joe well enough, I would think that probably the courtroom stuff is great, but I feel like maybe that might grate on him a little bit, which is why I don't know if I can wholeheartedly recommend it for him. If it had the story mode option, I could definitely recommend it for him.
Well,
I think the juice is worth the squeeze in the investigation parts, because the courtroom parts are so good.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have to not only defend your client, but you have to find the truth, because the original title of this series in Japanese is Gyakuten Saiban, which is Turnabout Courtroom.
Oh, okay.
So you're not... Yes. So
that's why all the cases are named Turnabout.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So you're not just defending your client, you have to turn the entire case about and find the actual guilty party and have them accused at the end of the proceedings.
At the end of the 3-day trial.
At the end of the 3-day trial, which it's probably like the best visual novel. It's for like anybody who's not a complete sicko. I think it's the one visual novel series that I could recommend. Pretty much sight unseen, except for that adventure game caveat.
I mean, if we're talking visual novels, if you're a mecha fan and you don't think you'd care about visual novels, you should play the Super Robot Wars games. But that's only for sickos like me who are obsessed with Gundam.
Thanks for coming to Video Game Chat, everybody.
Yeah.
Objection.
Overruled.
Hold it!
Remember how I was in the middle of explaining what the crankometer is when you all interrupted me with Video Game Chat?
Sorry.
I got one thing to say, Joe. Take that!
Take that.
Alright, now I'm done.
Never underestimate this podcast's ability to derail itself at literally any moment.
Sorry, you were saying the crankometer.
The crankometer, my friends, is the XY axis where we rate Christmas movies. The X-axis.
So over it.
I want to go to bed, guys. The
All right.
X-axis is how Christmassy, or in this case, I guess how holiday themed our film is, and the Y-axis is how good the film is. So, friends, the X-axis holiday quotient. I love you. Tell me about it.
I don't know that any of us are qualified at all to talk about how Diwali this movie set on Diwali is.
5 stars. Give it the benefit of the doubt.
I think we should just give it the benefit of the doubt and just say yes, it's Diwali is all hell.
My honest answer was going to be yes, it's about Diwali because that's why everybody's leaving. I mean, the way we talk about holiday movies, like the reasons for the plot to happen, like it's there. It's that's all we need.
It's probably got some like shades of Die Hard as well going on.
Oh no,
with the whole office building being abandoned. Let's give it a 5.
In the prevailing weeks since we did P2, I've realized that that movie is very Die Hard coded, where it is just like a series of floors, and each one visually distinct, and the characters move up and down throughout the floors, just like John McClane and Hans Gruber do in Die Hard.
Right.
So
I guess if I can criticize this movie for anything, it's that it's a little all over the place in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Where it doesn't really have that same sort of construction to it. And I don't think that's really even much of the point of it either. So I'm not going to fault it for that either.
Yeah, but, you get a couple key locations that they kind of do drop throughout the film. Like floor 3 is like their commissary, pantry, maybe their cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
It's like their common space. Yeah. And then 9 is the top floor with the pool and the gym. And then, of course, you have the lobby and the parking deck. And then I think their offices, like Satya's office is on 5?
I think so,
or is that RO's office?
I think hers is on 5, because RO's office is on one of the lower floors, where it's showing the like projection of Happy Diwali, which you can see from the inside of his office as well. Yeah.
Okay. So, like, it's not inscrutable, but it's definitely not as clear coded as the literal color coding in P2.
Right.
But should we give it the benefit of the doubt? Should we give it like middle of the road positive, or should we just go straight to 5? What do we do?
You know what?
How do we play this?
We could also be totally sarcastic and say, well, how Christmassy is this movie?
Oh no. I don't think we should do that.
No, we absolutely shouldn't.
If we really want to be, I don't know. We could also just give it NaN status and like have it off in its own little zone where it's it's not a number and it just doesn't get an X rating. I don't know. Thoughts?
This is actually a tough nut to crack that I did not anticipate.
We didn't think this through, as we don't think things through in this podcast.
It's just like a Phoenix Wright case. We're all arguing this in the middle of the trial.
should we just give it a 3? Like,
I'm
what do we do
sure.
here?
I'm okay with the 3.
Honestly, like objectively, it doesn't do a lot with Diwali. It's there, but it doesn't misuse it, and it has its reasons for including it. But like, the way we typically talk about these things, Christmas wise, like, yeah, it's there. I think it warrants a 3.
Yeah.
The way it doesn't misuse it and it doesn't overuse it. How about that?
I think a solid positive score is a good score to give this.
I think
Yes.
a 3.
And now the real question, though, the y-axis, how good is I Love You? Because this is something that I've been kind of wrestling with all day, because I've been looking at this, like looking at the actual reviews of this film, like the contemporary, like Indian critical reviews, and they're all bad.
They really didn't like it.
Wow.
1 star out of 5, 1 star out of 5, 1.5 stars out of 5,
Wow.
3 stars out of 5.
I
Forgettable, they say.
I mean, maybe it's because I don't have any exposure to Indian cinema, but I kind of really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I did too.
I did not like it as much as P2. I think the cinematography like is really pretty. I think a lot of the like direction and blocking just didn't really do a ton to enhance most of the like scary feelings for most of the movie. I think the action direction is pretty decent, but I think overall I liked it maybe like a hair less than P2, but I still liked it.
Okay.
That's totally fair. Yeah.
Me too. I mean, I'm not going to shout it from the rooftops and say it's the best movie ever, but
Yeah.
No.
in spite of myself, I was expecting to be like, oh, it's probably just going to be okay, right?
Mhm.
But I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Maybe like all of Indian cinema is just like straight up bangers. If this is like a 1 out of 5 for them, and we're
Right.
missing out, and maybe we should pivot. But
Well, because some of the reviews that I was reading, and a lot of them are listed on the Wikipedia page that you can click through too, but like they talk about how it's derivative of like 90s sort of thrillers, and not a single one of them mentions P2, by the way.
I mean, here
Which I'm not saying they should, but like they're saying that this is derivative of like local cinema and how that's bad. And we're coming at this from like, well, this is clearly a remake of an American film, and then we're actually like kind of impressed by it.
and also like derivative of 90s thrillers, like 90s thrillers fucking rule, man.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying, like 90s thrillers in India.
Oh, yeah.
Indian cinema.
then
That's true, yeah.
So like
Yeah.
their frame of reference for this film is completely different from ours, is all I'm saying.
yeah, and which maybe means we shouldn't put any stock in that, and we should just go on our own gut.
Yeah,
because it's our podcast, and if we enjoyed the movie, we enjoyed the movie.
That's what I
Yeah.
would say. Yeah, art is all subjective. There's no objective criteria, and we're just doing the best we can here. So I'm looking, the crankometer for P2 was a 3.3. I'm okay with giving this a 3.2.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Fulfill Jonathan's joke from last time.
Yeah, 3.2 for P2 from India.
Yes.
That's fair, because like, yeah, I actually found myself enjoying this the more it went. I think the structure of it was a little wonky, where we flash back so many times to things that we probably should have been told earlier.
Yeah.
But I think overall it's perfectly effective, and I would honestly recommend that our listeners go check it out, because honestly, it's pretty fun.
It's
a pretty
a
fun
good-
little movie.
It's a good time. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Our discussion here, I think, has like warmed me up on it more. Just because, like, yeah, Bradford caught some things I didn't notice that are kind of clever and fun, and yeah, I'm getting good vibes from just talking about it.
Yeah. So, friends, here
I'm
What?
sorry. There's one more thing. I just glanced down at my notes. There's one specific shot in this movie that I thought was actually really clever, and maybe I'm reading way too much into it. Can I just gush about it for a second?
Go for it.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a scene where he's got her tied up in his office, and he brings out her perfume because he's been checking his stalker cams.
Oh, yeah.
And he noticed she's out of her perfume, right?
Yeah.
And he gets it out, and he's like, "Can I put it on you?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." She's just trying to get rid of him. she's trying to get on with her day, as one does. And for some reason, the way they shoot him, like spraying it onto her neck, is like a visceral, like
Oh yeah,
almost as impactful as like when he brings the weight down onto Vishal's head.
yeah. No,
And I thought that was really clever.
Oh,
Because
he
if you
sprays.
think it, he like sprays it so hard because he doesn't have any experience with this.
He sprays it directly on her neck
Onto
twice,
neck, which is what you don't do with perfume.
No.
And I thought it was really clever because it underscores like how he thinks he's this gentleman and like knows her so well, but he's so inexperienced that he would do that when that's not how you apply perfume.
Yeah. No, that's a good
I
call.
thought that.
Yeah.
I thought that probably left the greatest impact out of all of the shots in the entire movie.
Yeah, that one got to me. I was like, ugh, when that happened.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like they really they knew what they were doing with that shot.
Mhm.
Like it was gross. It
Yeah.
was
Just
like,
that whole performance, even too, like he playing this guy like he does, the way that he is like so completely convinced that like he is her dream man, and he's just not.
I will say, I think I found him a little less scary than I did Thomas.
yeah.
I think I liked Wes Bentley's performance as Thomas more, but I think also I think I Heart You was going for a different tone where he was supposed to be just completely non-threatening for large portions of the movie because he is presenting himself as the nicest of the nice guys.
Yeah.
Mhm,
I think part of that you can chalk up to the fact that they flesh out RO's backstory, whereas Thomas is just like this absolute enigma, unknown, complete stranger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah. Well, and two, Thomas in P2 is this guy, like as soon as you see him, he's just got that dead-eyed stare.
Yeah.
And RO is so committed to being the nice guy that like he can't be mean even if he tried.
Mm-hmm.
Even though everything he's doing is just horrible.
He apologizes so much during this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like after he kills him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we got off on the wrong foot. Sorry." And he's like, well done.
This is a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a good little movie.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Not little. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 3 unexpected recommendations for I Love You.
Yeah.
From Christmas Creeps.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to watch this film, at least in the United States, it's on Tubi, where you can watch it for free. I'm not sure about anywhere else in the world, but we will put a link in the show notes to justwatch.com where you can find it for yourself. But yeah, +3, +2. Who'd have thunk it?
Mm-hmm.
It's I would love to do more of this actually on the show, like watch an American film and then watch either the remake of it or the original from a different language,
Mm-hmm.
like the Steve Martin film Mixed Nuts. I know that's originally a French film. And I think Jonathan and I have talked about doing that at some point, but the problem is that Mixed Nuts is just such a depressing film on its own. We got our own problems to deal with,
we can watch Home Alone and then watch Straw Dogs.
You know what? Sure, why not? do the trilogy. Do Straw Dogs, Home Alone, Dial Code Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode of Christmas Creeps, friends. Thank you for joining us on this really odd and unexpected episode of ours. Any parting thoughts that you guys would like to leave us with before we wrap it up?
I'm good.
I was going to say you can follow me on Blue Sky. Letter O, pencil sharp .bsky.social. That's where I still have my Twitter account, but I don't post on it anymore really because Twitter is a cesspool.
Twitter is a flaming dumpster, and I too have also boarded up my account. So, yeah, follow us on Blue Sky. We're at christmascreeps.bsky.social, or I'm Cordial Wombat at the same. Bradford, anything you want to plug right fast?
No, I'm good.
Alrighty. Social media is a dumpster. Don't go there.
Yep.
Yeah. just go touch grass.
Yeah.
Be with your loved ones.
Play-
reach out.
Play Phoenix
Discover
Wright.
your fellow humans. Play good video games. That's all I can say.
All right.
It's in the coming years, being with people and expanding your real social network are going to be invaluable. So treasure that. Anyhow.
Yeah. This deep into the episode, I guess I can go ahead and say it. We talked extensively, at least Johnny Five and I, about what we were gonna say about on this podcast about the election and all that stuff, and we just kind of decided, we've done this before. Go back to our Christmas vacation episode if you want to hear us really just stare down the abyss, but we just decided we didn't want to do that again. So
no, everybody has been through. No matter where you are, you've been through this song and dance before. We all know the score, so there's no. Anyways,
as far as this podcast is concerned, we just decided, you know what, the show must go on.
Don't let the bastards grind you down.
Exactly.
Yes. At the end of the day, yes, that has to be it.
So, I hope at least this holiday season and into the new year, our listeners will follow us and join us in whatever weird tangents we find ourselves in. But if you do want to do that, you can find us on the internet at christmascreeps.com, where all of our social media links will be there for you, as well as a link to our Discord channel, which I highly recommend you join because that's where the fun happens.
Yeah.
Bradford talks about food and drink and books and stuff. We're running a music league right now. We've got video game chat going on. It's a party here, people. What else am I missing? Oh, yeah. If you want to email us anything at all, xmascreeps@gmail.com. That's going to do it, folks. I've been Joseph Wade. Dr. Nick, thank you so much for coming back for this.
You're very welcome. Anytime.
Absolutely, friend. Bradford, welcome back. What the
Thanks.
hell?
Thanks. It's good to be here. It's always good to be here, my friend.
Let's start this thing over. Let's go. Another hour 25.
And then it loops back around.
Oh, it's all recursive. It's a recursive podcast, friends. Oh, God. No, we got to wrap this up because we're running long. But yeah, I'm Joseph Wade.
I'm Bradford.
I'm Dr. Nick.
Creep it real, y'all. We'll see you at Thanksgiving.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas.